Just Jules is finally responding after old content involving her, Ivy, Jenny Hyers, and Angelo started resurfacing. One of the things Jules said has people asking a lot of questions. Because Jules basically said if she had known then she knows now, she would not have made that original video supporting Ivy. And considering the accusations currently surrounding Ivy, that statement is definitely going to make people wonder what exactly did Jules find out? Let's get into it. So this whole situation started when old screenshots, videos, and comments began resurfacing. One of the biggest things people brought back up was Jules' previous support of Ivy. There was even an old direction where Ivy commented, "OMG, I love you," and Jules replied, "And I love you." At the time, it looked like a normal, friendly interaction between two creators. But once criticism of Ivy started circulating again, people began looking at those old interactions differently. And suddenly, the question wasn't just, what's going on with Ivy? It became, why was Jules supporting her? Now, this is where I want to be really clear. Ivy has been accused online of racist and homophobic behavior. Those accusations are what made Jules' previous support controversial, and Jules directly addressed this part. She said that she does not support curators who are racist or homophobic, and then she made a statement that really stood out. Jules said she would never had made an original video supporting Ivy if she had known the information she knows now. So essentially, Jules is just telling people, if I had known then what I know now, I would have made a difference. It's pretty major clarification. But here's where it gets interesting. Because Jules didn't completely turn around and agree with every criticism being made against Ivy. For example, when people were criticizing over something they considered sexist, Jules pushed back, saying that she didn't believe Ivy intended for the video to be sexist. She acknowledged that the wording could have been better, also pointed out that Ivy apologized. Jules also pushed back against people calling Ivy a weirdo. So Jules' position is actually much more complicated than I support Ivy and I now I don't. She's basically saying I don't support racist or homophobic behavior. And knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have made the original video. But I also don't agree with every accusation or insult being thrown at Ivy. And honestly, that distinction is important. But of course, once Jules started explaining herself, people started criticizing her. Some people accused Jules of being a pick me or trying to act innocent, and Jules had an explanation for why she may not have understood certain things the same way people did. She explained that she grew up very sheltered. Her parents limited her exposure to internet and social media, and Jules says she only got social media around 3 years ago. It becomes pretty irrelevant here because people were basically questioning how Jules could have known about certain curators, controversies, or internet history if she hadn't really had been exposed to it for a long time. There's also a resurfaced photo that people have been discussing in connection with this. People are pointing out that Jules only became publicly exposed to the internet and social media a few years ago, and that she didn't necessarily know many of the people or the internet culture surrounding them. So Jules' argument is essentially, you can't judge what I knew back then, as if I had the same internet experience I have now. And then there are the other names being pulled out into conversation. People were calling Jenny Hayo sexist and a weirdo, and Angelo was being accused of being a pick me or trying to act innocent. But it's important not to mix all of these criticisms together. The Ivy situation is what directly connects back to Jules' previous support. The Jenny comments are separately criticism, and the Angelo comments are another part of the discussion. The reason they are operating together is because all the criticism is happening around the same resurface material and the conversation. But there's one question I keep coming back to. Jules said, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have made that video. Okay? What does she know now? Because that is the part we don't completely have. We know her position changed. We know she says she don't support racism or homophobia. We know she wouldn't have made that original supportive video if she had known what she knows today. But we don't necessarily know the complete timeline of what Jules learned for what she had learned it, when she had learned it. And that's where I think people need to be careful. We shouldn't have take the statement and automatically fill in the blanks ourselves. If Jules hasn't publicly confirmed exactly what information changed her mind, we can't pretend we know. And honestly, I don't think the most net angle is. Jules and Ivy are fighting, because we don't actually know that. We don't know whether Jules completely cut Ivy off, we don't know what their private relationship looks like now, and Jules shouldn't simply say, I hate Ivy now. What she actually did was explaining that her perspective changed while she defending Ivy against certain criticism. That's much more nuanced. And I also explained why people are so interested in this because Jules' old comments show one version of the story, her current response shows another. And somewhere between those two moments, something changed. So does Ivy? So does just Jules regret supporting Ivy? Based on her own words, she clearly regrets making the original supportive video, knowing what she knows now. But that's not necessarily the same as saying that she regrets ever knowing Ivy or that she completely fallen out. And until Jules explained exactly what changed her perspective, that's really the biggest unanswered question. Because we have the old support, we have the resurfaced screenshots, we have the black backlash. And now we have Jules saying, I wouldn't have made that video if I knew than what I know now. So, what do you guys think? Do you believe Jules genuinely didn't know what was going on at that time, or does her response makes her even more curious about when she find out? Because personally, I think that's a part everyone wants to know. That is it for today's video. I'll meet you in the next one. Until then, bye.